That's still hard to comprehend the meaning of that. We're going to talk to the chief in just a moment, but of course we're going to begin today with yet another school shooting in America. You've heard about it. This time it's in Madison, Wisconsin. When the police arrived at the Abundant Life Christian School, they found a horrific scene. A substitute teacher had been killed, a student was dead, and 6 other people were badly hurt. And the alleged shooter, a 15-year-old girl, also dead from an apparent suicide. Charlie DeMar from CBS News Chicago is in Madison with the latest. Charlie, this is another heartbreaking story for all of us. Good morning to you.
Good morning. This is a small private Christian school with just about 400 students from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. These were the final days before Christmas break, and police releasing new chilling details about who first called 911 after those shots were fired.
Possibly 1 deceased, maybe 6 people injured, at least 2 shot.
Police say officers arrived 3 minutes after a 2nd grade student called police about an active shooter at Abundant Life Christian School Monday morning.
Don't let that soak in for a minute. A 2nd grade student called 911.
Upon arrival, police say they found the shooter dead inside the school and recovered a 9mm handgun.
We are certainly speaking and talking with the parents who are cooperating to determine if they were gun owners and if they had guns. But at this time, again, we're still talking with them.
Investigators say the shooter was 15-year-old Natalie Rupnow, who went by Samantha. We're told she opened fire during study hall. Police searched her Madison home Monday and said they're speaking with her father. The motive is unknown.
We heard them, and then some people started firing, and then we just waited till the police came, and then they escorted us out.
6th grader Adler Jean Charles says he was in English class when he heard the shots.
I was scared. Why did they do that? Why?
So as I was driving over here, not knowing if my kids are alive or not, I just prayed.
Driving to school, not knowing if your 4 kids are alive or dead, what is that like?
You know, it's beyond me, right? I can't change anything, and that's kind of why I just had to lean into God as somebody who's bigger. And so I just had to trust him.
Kellen Lewis has 4 kids who attend Abundant Life Christian School.
You know, it's tough. It makes you appreciate your kids, but man, my heart goes out to those that they don't have their kids to hug anymore.
Police say 2 of the injured have since been released from the hospitals, and while authorities have not released the name of the deceased, at a prayer service last night, a pastor says the teacher who was killed was a substitute filling in for someone who was sick.
Charlie, thank you. Madison Police Chief Sean Barnes joined us earlier to discuss this investigation. Chief Barnes, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so sorry it's under these conditions.
Good morning, Gail. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Can you start off with bringing us up to date about the conditions of the victims? What can you tell us?
I can tell you that 2 of the victims with non-life-threatening injuries were released from the hospital last night. So we'll start with some good news. I can also tell you that we have about 300 survivors that join an exclusive club, those who survived school shootings. Our community is really reeling from what happened today or last night, and we're really trying to put the pieces together to bring some answers to our community.
You know, unfortunately, this is a story we've heard and told too many times. I always ask myself, what is it going to take for this country to get this right? We are still struggling, and now we hear the shooter this time was a 15-year-old girl. What can you tell us about her and about her family? What do we know?
Well, we know that her family is cooperating with all investigation right now. We'll spend a lot of time today going through some items that we took from her house as a result of a search. We'll look through her social media, talk to some of her friends, and really try to piece together how a 15-year-old was able to do something like this in such a short amount of time.
Yeah. Do you know where she got the gun, Chief?
We do not know where she got the gun. We're working with our partners from the ATF to do what's called an ATF trace form to determine the origins of that weapon. But we hope to have some of those answers today in my noon briefing with my investigators.
Do you know anything about a motive at this time? I realize everything is still very early and you all are still processing too.
Yeah, there's been a lot on social media posted by people who allege that they're her friends, describing different motives. We're trying to track those people down to talk to them and figure out what happened. But what we do know is that this child obviously was very troubled. There's usually some type of warning signs that we all may have missed. And so we have to understand that we have to come together as a community. We have to wrap our arms around our children and understand what's going on in their lives.
And I watched your news conference yesterday, and I saw that you were just as affected as all of us who have been watching this. But when you said the person who called 911 was a second grader, it sort of, I had to stop and just process that for just a second. Tell me how you were processing all of that and what you make of this. Did this little person have a phone? How did she get in touch with 911? I just thought a second grader, you're 6?
Yeah.
No, you're 7, 8 years old maybe?
That's right, Gail. The second grader had a phone, was able to call 911. You know, this affects me tremendously. Gail, before I was a police officer, I was a public school teacher. I taught history at a public high school for 4 years before I made the switch over to policing. And so I've always had a big heart for school and education. As someone, who values the sanctity of school and understanding and being in that position to know how dedicated teachers really are to understanding that our kids need to be safe in order to learn. So it really affected me. I actually had to take a couple of beats myself last night and throughout the course of the day to gather myself and come to grips with this as well.
Yep, I know everything you've said we've all heard before.